All right, we're back again. Thoroughbred horse racing on the channel with Jon Hardoon and Chad Summers. How's it going, guys?
Fantastic.
Wet.
Wet, yeah. Wet here as well. It's going to be snowing. When did you say, John?
In Saratoga, we're getting 18 inches.
Are you
Nobody
going to
knows
leave?
Saratoga's the thing until July.
Are you leaving the area, John?
I left it yesterday.
Oh, you're out west?
No, I joined Chad's part of the woods.
You can come visit him?
Where's that? Oh, Long Island. So you went further east.
No, I came down.
Oh, that's how it works? Okay. I've never been to Saratoga before. That's right. Okay, so you're got it. Okay.
You'll have to make a road trip.
I talked to Chad about that. The plan is to try to put something together, hopefully by around maybe like Belmont Stakes, do like a 48-hour kind of deal.
Fantastic.
That'd be great. So we can all get together. That'd be great. I'd like to do that. And of course, that's definitely also up to the audience. Want to remind everybody, especially our patrons. Oh, we should be giving a shout out. Caesar was our first patron that navigated over to YouTube. So Caesar, want to definitely thank Caesar for that. So again, we appreciate it. And we just want to remind all, because I think we had 23 patrons, so we have 22 to go. So Caesar's the first. So,
all right, let's get the show on the road, boys.
By the way, I do have to, because Caesar has a comment. I'd rather do that here before I forget it. Caesar's comment, because remember last week what happened. So this is for you, Chad. Is there any reason or incentive for trainers to claim horses before the start of the new year?
So, no. I mean, the thing is, a lot of places there's a quote unquote jail where you're in jail until the end of the meet, and 95% of the meets will start either January 1st or thereabout. I think Gulfstream starts December 26th.
So I could claim a horse in Gulfstream now and bring him back to New York?
No, because Gulfstream makes everything difficult. Gulfstream's rule is 90 days.
Oh, okay.
But you can claim a horse now at Turfway Park. Or at Belmont at Aqueduct over the next couple of days, and then you would be out of jail by the first of the year.
Okay. How about if you're one of the few people that made money in this game for tax purposes? Do you want to spend it before the year? Or I don't even know what that means.
I mean, you can, but it would be more. You'd want to buy broodmares.
Forget it. I'm going down. I digress. I went down a road we shouldn't have gone down.
Also, Caesar wants to know what type of race conditions should we keep an eye out for at the end of the year?
Well, we're going to talk about it here. It's a good segue into our first race, the 5th race at Aqueduct. And it's, to me, my favorite bet is turf horses trying the dirt. And you know that they're turf horses. So they get bet because they have good numbers on the turf, but maybe they can't stand up on the dirt. So it's a chance to get longer price and better odds on natural dirt horses, because people think, oh well, maybe that horse, if he can move that form over from the turf, then he's going to be the one. And more times than not, there's the exception.
Like the winner of the last race today at Aqueduct, Chad, 2 races on the turf, tried the dirt today for the first time, went off 12-1 and won. It happens on rare occasions.
But you'd rather take, John, because we talked about this plenty of times, you'd rather go with those 12-1 shots instead of the 3-1 shots making those moves.
We're not going to bet a favorite that's trying something for the first time. That's
and we're gonna see it, when we talk about our first race here, race 5 at Aqueduct, an allowance race where at least half the field is actually predominantly turf horses. And look, the 7-5 morning line favorite, Sheriff Bianco, was able to transition from the turf to the dirt and was a winner. But was that a fluke thing, or can it continue? Let's dive into it.
Okay.
His last 2 races were both races on the dirt. After running 11 races on the turf, he's won his last 2 on the dirt. But that's besides the point.
And last week we had one at Aqueduct, and you won that one, John, hitting with Betsy Blue. So Betsy Blue got the win last week. That was the one where you got the place bet, Chad, with your horse, which was the 7 horse.
Yeah, and got him the last jump. And by the way, we also found out that Smash, or whatever that horse's name was, must run on Lasix.
Smash Ticket.
Yeah, he was, again, a short price and disappointed without Lasix. So guys should keep that in mind. Watch, how horses do when they're forced to run off of Lasix.
There you go. And I was able to hit the one at Oaklawn, Flash of Mischief. Unfortunately, the odds on the show at the morning line were 7-2, and the odds went down to, I don't know, was it like even money or something like that?
Well, we did say that whoever makes the morning line at Oaklawn should find another job.
The other problem, to be honest with you, when we do these picks so far out from the races, is a situation of, look, in the Aqueduct race, for example, Hot Pepper scratch,
right?
The entire dynamic of the race, and at Oaklawn, I mean, you had to pass your swim test, your lifeguard approved test, because it was so wet there. And we briefly talked about it on the show. The horse that Jonathan and I gave out, who was so much better than the field on paper, but was 1 for 7 on the slop and just can't stand up on an
no one expected that bad a track though, Chad.
No, not like that. I mean, there's an off track, and then there's whatever Oaklawn was. I mean, that looked like the old
Quagmire
Campbell Chunky Soup commercial.
Yeah.
All right, so on this show, it's not just one but 2 races are going to be at Aqueduct, and the weather will be fine. So we've already looked ahead.
It'll be fine on Saturday, but getting to Saturday, not going to be so fine.
All right. Well, hopefully everything will still be okay on Saturday. Let's, again, race 5 and race 8. We'll start with race 5. This is a 6-furlong race, a $90,000 purse for 3-year-olds and up. Matter of fact, maybe a couple of storylines of this race. The top 4 horses have all gone through an extensive amount of trainer changes. We'll go over that. And also maybe half the field might need to set the pace. I've noticed that as well in order to win a race. We start with the 1, Prisoner, a 12-1 shot, John. This is the 3rd trainer in 6 career races. And right now it's Charlton Baker who's training Prisoner. There are some things to look at. I want your opinion, obviously, because you've got the 13 in March, which was a wire-to-wire win. Bounced to the 24, came back with the 12, and then again bounced to the 19. So what is that line telling you?
Well, the problem I have with this horse is he obviously has physical problems. He had 1 race as a 2-year-old early and then missed his whole 3-year-old campaign. The good news is he's now making his 6th start of this year. He doesn't put races really together. I'm expecting a forward move, obviously, off the 19, but I don't think he's going back to the 12. I think he's more likely to run in the vicinity of a 15.
Okay.
Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but a 15 is not going to do it.
12-1, though, that's the thing that's good about the horse.
I mean, the thing I like about this horse is that, look, he's owned in part by trainer Charlie Baker, and I like the fact that Charlie continues to protect him, running him an allowance race. He came back, he ran very well off the claim. He's basically out on the horse. He can run him back for a claiming race where he would be probably among the morning line favorites in a 3-life claiming race. And instead he runs him in the allowance race, which I like. But, I mean, the form just hasn't been there. His first race off the claim was good, but since then, kind of disappointing overall. I do like that last work, but he needs to prove it. And similar to what you said, Greg, I mean, he looks like he probably would prefer to be on the engine, especially from the rail. And there's some other speedy horses in here too. So, I mean, it's up against him. But if you want to take a shot, you're certainly rewarded at a price.
Okay, the 2, Mauritius. All right. Anyway, 3rd trainer in the 4th race for the 2 horse at 8-1. Look, the good thing is you got a nice trainer. Upgrade here. Well, upgrade, I mean, the percentages are all the same.
Upgrade. There's no upgrade. Where's the upgrade?
Well, first of all, who is Brittany Russell?
She's a terrific trainer.
Is she? So she is not related to Bob Baffert in any way?
She's one of the leading trainers in Laurel.
Okay. So yeah, so you have 3 trainers. They're all with the same percentages, so you're really not going to have anything to go with there, except that 12. That's the big deal. The sheet number for the very first race, which was very impressive, but the last 2, 23-20.
Guy, I'm going to need a timeout. Someone's at the door.
Go right ahead. Chad, you can take it.
Yeah. So I mean, look, what you take away from this horse is interesting. This was a horse who was an expensive yearling for the quote unquote Avengers group, which is, they had Authentic, they've had, so many top horses over the years. Ran first time out and got beat by Taiba. So it was in the Bob Baffert barn. Taiba, who we'll see next in the Malibu, that was, two-time Grade 1 winner. He runs second to Taiba. My problem with this horse is this. The horse runs second to Taiba first time out. Even though he's beaten 7 lengths, it's Taiba.
It's like okay. I said, ran at 12.
There's nothing wrong with
Very
that.
Good.
But then comes back and was just kind of so-so. They shipped the horse to Maryland, where basically, once those horses aren't Saturday afternoon horses, Baffert doesn't want them anymore, and the ownership group doesn't want to, waste the time of Baffert. So they send him to Brittany Russell. She wins with the horse. They then put the horse in the November sale. And off the win, you'd think there'd be some momentum and people would spend a lot of money for the horse. The horse was purchased for $80,000, which obviously for us is a lot of money. But for what that quality of the sale was, it was the last day of the Keeneland November sale, for that horse to only sell for $80,000 off the second place to Taiba earlier in the year and the maiden win last time out makes me feel like the horse might have had some veterinarian issues that caused it to sell for only $80,000. Even though, again, $80,000 is a lot of money for most people. The way that sale was, that's not that much, and that's my concern. If that horse was in good form, I would have thought he would easily bring 6 figures, and that's what kind of stops me here from wanting to push too hard on Mauritius.
If you run second to Taiba, you're supposed to sell for more than $80,000, right?
I think so.
I agree. Not only that, this horse has had 2 terrific trainers. Actress is great. He's not going to improve off of Baffert, he's as good as Brittany Russell, as far as I'm concerned.
All right. The 3 is King Angelo, and King Angelo's a 6-1 shot. The trainer change happened a couple of starts ago, and that was coming off a win in July. This horse, let's see, you've got 10 races on turf. 4 of them were pretty good, 2 10s, 2 11s, 2 dirt races, 1 on a fast track, 1 on a good track. The one on the good track was at 6.5 furlongs, finished second, ran at 11. The one thing I noticed, John, is that the previous 3 times that this horse won, he had breaks of 5 weeks, 7 weeks, and 9 weeks. Now it's a 3-week break.
Well, if you look at this horse fast, he looks like a turf horse. He's got a lot of races on the grass. His 2 dirt races are both good. They're certainly in line. He ran a 16 first out. The problem with him is he didn't start racing till the end of 3, like a few weeks before he was turning 4, when he caught a frozen track at Aqueduct. Then the next time he ran on the dirt, he ran that 11. Problem with him is he ran the 11 last time out on the grass. So if his turf and dirt races are in line, he probably will react off of the turf race last time out running the 11. If like you mentioned, every time he runs a number, he usually reacts. That being said, if I was playing exactas, I would use him somewhere in the bottom with the horse that I'm king. He's not impossible. He's better than the 1 and 2, as far as I'm concerned, for whatever that's worth.
My concern with this horse, look, let me put to rest some concerns, and then I'll move forward. This horse is a homebred for Tom Ferrone, who is in no rush to ever get his horses to the races. They're homebreds. They don't go to the sales. He takes his time with them making it to the races and wants them to develop ahead of time. So the fact that he doesn't run until he's almost 4 is really doesn't mean anything. He has a 7-year-old that's still a maiden. He doesn't care. And they won a nice race earlier on the day today at Aqueduct with a first-time starter. The concern I have is, man, he's taken a lot of money in his last 2 starts. I mean, he was bet both the 2 starts he had for George Abreu like he couldn't lose. I mean, sent off at just over even money in both races. And you can make some excuses. Didn't have the cleanest of trips, didn't have the best of trips on what probably is his preferred surface, even though he ran okay on the dirt. He's the wild card in here because you're right, Jonathan. He has every opportunity to win the race. But at what point do you just sit there and be like, man, I it's tough for me to press this horse when I don't know. There's too many unknowns. And this is a very, very tricky race. It's one you probably have to go deep in your vertical tickets and horizontal tickets. He's a horse that you probably use because he can win the race for sure, but how much can you trust him?
Okay, next up is the 4 Vital, a 9-2 shot. And since the horse made that move to Parks in May, first race was excellent. Got a win, wire to wire, 9 on the sheet, best race. Since then, we've got an 11 and 2 13s, all at Parks. And by the way, this is the 4th trainer for Vital. And now it's down to Michael Jones Jr., who will be training the horse for the first time.
Well, these connections do pretty well. I'm sure Chad is familiar with them. I think he trains a horse for this owner, to tell you the truth. He's okay. He ran the 9. He never got back to it. He had enough time to get back to that 9. Michael Jones is training him for the first time. He trains horses for this guy. They win plenty of races at Parks. That being said, he would have to make a forward move to win. I don't know. Again, he ran that 9 4 races back. He's had plenty of time since that race and hasn't gotten back to it.
Concerns with this horse is, again, like Prisoner, does his best running on the front end, and I don't know that he's fast enough to clear. So it's really going to be up to jockey Abner Adorno, who I think is a great young jock, to work out a good trip. He's outside of Prisoner, but unfortunately he's inside some of the other speed. If he can trip out, then he's more than capable of winning the race. But it's going to be the first eighth of a mile for this horse where he sets up is going to be imperative to where he finishes.
Okay, now the 5 Neuro at 8-1. This is one of the rare horses that is going to come from behind and doesn't need the lead.
When did you become a pace handicapper? Just out of curiosity.
I'm trying to catch up. That's
okay.
All. The more information I get, I move on to the next project.
That's good. So you're done with us. You now became a pace handicapper. Well, that's really good to know.
So taking a look, this horse has been on the dirt 3 times, and it was all in 2020. Ran a 20, a 14, and a 14. But again, that was in 2020. Since then on turf, John, we have seen an 8. We've seen a couple of 9s. Matter of fact, this year we've seen 12-9 out of the 4 races. But again, you're making the change from turf to dirt for the first time in a while.
Well, this is one of those horses. There's no more turf racing, so they're going to have to run him on the dirt. The interesting thing about this, and maybe Chad will give us a clearer picture of it, when you first looked at this horse, his dirt races and his turf races are in line. He ran 14s on the dirt, then he ran 14 on the turf, right? So you would say he could handle the turf and the dirt equally. But then after that bad race on the dirt, they just switched him to the turf and they never came back. Personally, I think when they switch a horse to the turf and he runs 12 straight or 13 straight races on the grass, that he's now a turf horse. I don't know how much he'll go back to that old dirt form he had. And not only that, he is off a 9, so I would play him to react anyway. Chad, when you have a horse that was running early in his career on dirt and then you run him 15 times on the turf, do they go back to the dirt like they never left it?
I don't think so. Look,
I don't think so either. That's what
his mother was actually good on both. She was a really, really talented horse, my Dinah. And to be honest, I actually trained his brother, of course, named My Primo. But I just think that this horse is a touch better on the turf. He's certainly gotten better. Trainer Bobby Robato's had a quietly kind of a strong second half of his 2022 with limited starters, getting some really good efforts out of these horses. But I just think he's more of a turf horse, and the way he's going to trip out, he's going to get dirt in his face, and I don't know how he's going to react to that. I don't see him working out a good trip from that post.
Okay, now the 6 is the favorite, Sheriff Bianco, and when you guys touched upon this horse at the beginning just for a second, and I'm very curious of and I know you're gonna tell me why. That's why we're here. Of why neither one of you will go with this horse, because the sheets say he might be the best horse in the field. made the switch to dirt in the last 2 races, ran a 9 the first time in October, and then the second time went to a 6. Now, I know the first time was supposed to be on turf, but maybe is that what happened? Is that Linda Rice said, oh, okay, ran a nice 9, let's put him back on dirt, and responded again with a 6. So 2 for 2 at Aqueduct. What is it that you don't like about Sheriff Bianco, John?
I don't like the 6 last time out, and now he's coming off of a top. I'm playing this horse to react.
Okay.
Listen, you're right. He is the best horse in the race, but that doesn't mean he's the best horse in the race on Saturday.
Yes.
Maybe in another 3 weeks, if they ran the race, he would be my top selection, not off of the 6 with no time off. And by the way, the very first race of his life was run on the dirt, and it was better than the turf race. If you saw, he ran an 18, and then he went to the turf and ran a 21 in career start number 2. Then they just put him on the grass, and they said that was that. Linda Rice claimed the horse 4 starts back, and she's having a terrific meet. She's doing well. Everything she sends out runs. But I think, first of all, the horse is going to be 3 to 5. And for that reason, I'm looking to beat him.
This is why I hate this race. I mean, this horse is more than capable of winning. There's no doubt about that. But you're supposed to come back to earth. Now, Jonathan picked Betsy Blue last week, who wasn't supposed to run that good off a 7-day layoff, and she won the race and continued to improve. Things are really, really good in the Linda Rice barn right now, as she awaits a decision on her 3-year suspension.
Was that suspension handed down like 3 years ago? just asking a question.
Again, if you're playing this race and you're playing a pick 5 or pick 4 or whatever, you have to use the horse because the horse can win. But I don't think the horse is of this other world that he's run his last 2 races. And I think he comes back to reality on Saturday.
Now let's go talk about your top. Actually, it's your top horse. Both of our analysts are going with 12th Man, the 5-1 shot. 12th Man. This will only be the second race for this horse since February, first since May. Castellano on board. Those 2 last races were 11s, best consecutive sheet numbers for 12th Man. What is it specifically you like, John, as your top choice?
Well, this trainer, Michelle Nevin, does extremely well off the layoff. The race sets up well for him. You were talking about all the speed that's in the race. Well, this is one of the closers. Excuse me. The horse does run well fresh. The horse is 1 for 9 at Aqueduct with 2 seconds, 2/3. So he doesn't mind the track. I just think he's going to get a great setup in here. I don't love this horse. I really don't. But by default, there's nothing much to like in this race. That's why I ended up on this horse.
We talked about owner Tom Ferrone earlier on the George Bray horse. Samantha Siegel of JMS needs to be kind of accoladed as well. She is the most patient owner I think I've ever seen in this game. And this is a homebred for her. And they've allowed Michelle to take their time. And if they need time off, they get the time off. They ran it for a tag one time off the layoff, thinking that they weren't going to lose it. They were right. And then she was eligible to win the starter, which she did. Now they logically go through the air of the one that she's gotten better and better the 3 tries. And today makes sense to maybe break through. Again, even though it's off a long layoff, Michelle Nevin's 23% off a similar layoff. And this horse has a win and a couple of seconds off similar 7-month layoffs. It's done it 3 times in his career already. So it's something that's kind of been the norm for him. And I would expect a big effort off the bench.
Chad,
by the way, he does run well fresh, as you've seen. In the last 2 years, he's come off of long layoffs, and he's run well also. So
yeah, actually, one of those was January of 21, had a 19 in that race, and then had a layoff to October of 21 and ran a 13.
Exactly. And the year before had a 16 and had a layoff and came back with a new top of a 14. So,
Chad, when someone like myself, I look here, I see that in October, he went wire to wire for a win. And then I look at the rest of his races and I see no wire to wire, not even attempting to go wire to wire. What's up with that?
Just the way the race came apart. I mean, there wasn't much speed in the race that day, and he just kind of found himself on the lead more so than he's been trying to make the lead and not made it. It's just sometimes there's more to a race than a number, and so you have to kind of study the field and know who it's going. Again, it's one of those things where, from a novice handicapper perspective, it's difficult to sit there and be like, okay, well, this, then that. But if you watch the circuit and you watch the races on the day-to-day, you kind of get an idea of what's what and what happened. And if you forget, there's so many opportunities now that you can go back and watch these replays.
Oh, yeah.
That really allow you to kind of see things. And, you talk about, being a pace figure guy now and a sheet guy. Trip notes and trip handicapping is also, if you're able to do it, and it's not an easy thing to do because some people just go, oh, there's a speed bias or there's a rail bias, whatever. But if you actually pay attention to certain tricks, you can be profitable. You really can. And you got to pick and choose. Not every time a horse has a bad trip doesn't mean that it had a bad trip.
Sure.
So
from now on, if I ever see something like that, first thing I should think about, and it's not 100%, but the first thing I should think about is, A, it just worked out that way. But look, this is just that there was no strategy towards it.
Well, like the Long Island Railroad, if you see something, say something.
Okay. Yeehaw Jester. Oh no, that's a different. Jester's Song is the 8 horse at 15-1. I don't like the percentages of the trainer or the rider in this one. That's pretty bad. It also seems to be a pretty slow horse. So this is the long shot of the whole race, right, John?
Yeah, he does. I mean, it looks like he's up against it. He's lightly raced. That's the only good news. But he doesn't have a race good enough to win this race. So that's the problem.
Look, the rider switched Jose Gomez. I know he's had a little bit of a rough meet, but had 3 wins over the last week on the NYRA circuit. He's up to 6 wins of the NYRA circuit and continues to win races every day on the dark days at Park. So I wouldn't think that this is a rider downgrade. I think he'll fit the horse just fine.
And as far as our picks, both of you guys are going with the 7, but there's one difference. John is putting his 100 to win. Chad is putting his 100 to show.
That's a new one. Every week he surprises us with some new bet. The other day he boxed 5 horses in an exacta. Then he bet in a superfecta using a horse only for third. So
I'm trying to find my niche.
Yes, obviously, show betting may be the answer.
Listen, a short price is better than a long face any day.
No question about that.
All right, and I'm going to do my typical formula. I'm going to...
Well, hold on. A $4 box and $52 to win on 4 different horses.
Well, it's actually, that would be an $8 box.
Okay.
And 52 to win. Yeah, $8 box, 136.
I told you.
And 52 to win on the 6. All right, let's move on over. Before we do move on over to race 8, I want to let everybody know as far as our programming. Christmas, of course, is coming up. So next week, we are going to, on the 20th, that's Tuesday, we're going to record our special show that we've been teasing everybody for. That is our award show for 2022, as well as our prediction show for 2023. So that'll be available on Tuesday. So look out for that. And then we are going to return on Saturday, the 24th, on Christmas Eve. That's when we're going to record the show for the races on the 26th at Santa Anita. And there are 3 grade 1s and 3 grade 2s at Santa Anita on the 26th. So that's what's coming up before the end of the new year, because after that, I think, that's it. And then we're off to January 2023. All right, race number 8 at Aqueduct. This is a mile, and we've got a stakes race. Alex M. Robb Stakes, 100,000 for 3-year-olds and up. We'll start with the 1. Market Alert, an 8-1 shot, gets an upgrade, trainer upgrade. Second time out for Altris, coming off a 12 last time. I guess, John, you take a look at this horse. The last 3 headed in the right direction with that 12. and really the last 3 races at Aqueduct, the horse, which is what the horse has run, you are seeing a little bit better improvement each time out.
Yeah, but this horse has 23 lifetime starts, and he's doing something on Saturday that he's never done before, and that's come back on just a 6-day or 7-day layoff. I think he's going to react. I think the race is too close to the last race. When you bet horses that come back off of short layoffs, you could zig and zag. Sometimes they run and you play them. Sometimes they don't. It's just a feel, and I think he's probably going to react off of the 12.
The only thing I'll say, this horse is very, very difficult to train in the morning time. He is a headache. Jimmy Ryerson and his staff, including ex-judge Ryder Amoy, who got on him every morning for the Jimmy Ryerson barn. He is tough. He is one. You get on him and you go right to the track, and hopefully you don't run over anybody. I think, believe it or not, Jonathan, the 6-day
is good for him. It could be.
It might work out because he's such a handful to train, and you got to train him on all this medication to try and keep him quiet. Here, you ran. He didn't run half bad, and then you just took it easy. He walked. He maybe jogged in the jogging barn's open now. Robert Trost loves the jogging barn. He won't even see. He probably hasn't even taken this horse back to the racetrack since the race. And if you're going to try it. And you know what? You're going to get a big price. I didn't use this horse, but he's the one horse to me that would scare me of the horses I didn't use.
Okay. I could see it. It makes some sense.
Keep in mind the best sheet number for Market Alert was in March. Aqueduct, 1 mile, won the race, and ran a 9. All right, let's go to 3 Jokers, a 12-1 shot that just appears to be too slow.
Scratch.
Good for 3 Jokers because
he's going to re-enter to run an allowance race on Sunday. He's going to scratch.
Okay.
Didn't have a chance in that one. All right, Perfect Munnings.
Can't lose.
Who can't lose?
3 Jokers.
Oh, 3 Jokers can't lose. Got it.
He can't win either.
Joker. 5-1 shot, Perfect Munnings. This is the 3-horse. A Pletcher Castellano combo is going to be John's top play coming up back-to-back 8s.
Well, I see a horse with the fastest numbers. I see a horse that's 5-1. The question is, he's going to a mile today for the first time. But I think his running style fits it, and it's Pletcher. He wouldn't be running him if he didn't think he could deal with it. At 5-1, it's a no-brainer for me. He's the fastest horse in the race.
I think options are limited in this situation, and it's one of those ones where they don't want to necessarily run him for a claiming tag. They don't want to run against open company, so this is kind of the next race on the schedule. I don't think he's necessarily a miler. I don't know how he won 2 races back over who that's me, who was, I think, much the best that day. I think the horse is fine. But I just prefer others. I think there's a cap or ceiling on how good he is, and I just think others are better.
Okay, let's now go to 4. Some Like It Hot Brown. Boy, we talked about this horse
Many.
So this is actually going to be my top play. Lascano Maker combo. This is the first of back-to-back Maker horses. 30 lifetime starts, 10 wins. Anyway, the sheets, you take a look here, the last 2 on dirt. One was supposed to be on turf in August, ran an 8, and then went back to dirt last time out at 7 furlongs and ran an 11. What I like about the horse, John, and the reason I'm taking it is because I just like the overall consistency of the sheets for this horse over its entire career. Matter of fact, the last 21 races, the horse has ran between a 5 and a 12.
Yeah, but don't you think the last race should have been better than the 11? I mean, it was a short field that day. He got beat. But, I mean, I played this horse last time out, and I lost because he ran second. But I was hoping that he would run that 8 that he had the last time he was on a wet track, and he didn't. So that was my concern. I think the last race I'm nitpicking here, but I think it should have been better than the 11.
If you like this horse as your top pick, you probably think Jalen Hurts is MVP of the NFL.
Oh.
This horse is not that good. Okay, like Micah Parsons
Oh,
says,
whoa, whoa! That's another discussion.
He's cross entering shows
Yeah.
again.
He's a circumstance of the team. The Mike Maker barn wins a lot of races. This horse is a grass horse. This is what we talked about in the beginning of the show. I don't care that he won an off the turf race and that he was in a Stallion Series race last time, which was a joke of a race. Okay, where you had a horse, a mile and a half horse, this horse, that horse, whatever. He's not that good on the dirt. I'm sorry. He will not win. He will not beat his stablemate. Okay. So you can make it your top pick all you want. If you're gonna make a top pick,
I do have an exacta, so he can come in second. I still cash in.
I would rather you pick Barisi on top than something like Hot Brown, who, by the way, is eligible for the senior citizen discounts at Sam's End Price Club.
Okay. Next up is one of Chad's picks, surprisingly, Barisi, a 5-2 shot. Barisi ran a 7 at Aqueduct in April. That was the Wood Memorial. And since then, we have one single-digit number. That was in July. That was a 9. The last 2 races, John, we have 11s, both at Aqueduct.
Can the horse win? Of course he can win. But here's the problem. He's 5-2. He's 5-2. And if you notice, he never came back to the 7 that he ran, to whatever was 7 races back when he ran that race at Aqueduct. The best he was able to do was get back to the 9. 3 races after that, and now he's yet to get back to the 9. So it's harder for him to keep coming to make that forward move. And at 5-2, for that reason, I would play against him.
Look, he paired 11s. Let me ask you a question: does a 9 win this race?
A nine, unless the 3 runs an 8. Yeah, a 9 will win.
So if a 9 wins this race, he paired 11s, which makes me think he can take that move forward. He's a 3-year-old taking on olders. It's worked out pretty well so far this year. The 3-year-old crop is deep. And he ran second last time in an open company stake race against straight 3-year-olds.
Yeah, but Chad, last time out, he had no excuse. He was the favorite. He got beat by some 15-1 shot. That's all I'm saying. He couldn't go by it.
You're right. But I think in this group of these battle-tested veterans, he's the one. He hasn't run against. Most of these horses have run against each other or similar competition along the way. This horse hasn't really run against anybody else that's in this field, and I like the fresh face.
Okay, let's move on to the 6, and this is Chad's top play, Seafoam, a 7-year-old. Now, this horse, the last 3 races, which were all this year, August, September, October, ran a 10 in August, then knocked down to the 17, back to the 10. So, John, the thing I would be concerned with, shouldn't I be, is that this horse is 7 years old. Trying to get this horse to run back-to-back good races may not be so easy.
The interesting thing about this horse, by the way, we talk about horses that have to run on Lasix to perform their best. This horse does his best when he's not on Lasix. The race 2 starts back was with Lasix, right? His last race, that 10 was without Lasix. The first 10 of this year was without Lasix. So this is a rare exception to that. That being said, at 7 years old, I think we have better options. Can he win? Of course he can win, and you're getting 6-1. But I think the 3 at 5-1 is better than the 6s at 6-1.
I'm gonna reveal a little secret here on the show. This is the one inside the magicians, right? Like when they show you the girl.
You show us what's behind the curtain. Go ahead.
This horse is a speed horse that adds blinkers for a jockey who is very, very crafty about when he tells trainers to add blinkers or not add blinkers. And when he tells them to add blinkers, you go to the window. Kendrick Carmouche has ridden this horse numerous times in the morning and the afternoon, and they've restrained themselves from putting blinkers on the horse. They put blinkers on the horse today and cut him back to a mile distance, which is, he's not wicked fast, which makes them like to kind of make the early lead in those 1 1/8 races and grind it out. But I think his best race, maybe ever, was the losing effort at Saratoga off the layoff in the Evan Shipman. And that was a mile, and I thought he ran too good to lose. The Michelle Giangiulio barn is heating up. They're 3 for 5 at the current Aqueduct meet. And I just have a feeling that today might be the day with the blinkers on that this horse leads them flag fall to that's all. and gets the job done at what I think he ends up going off at a little bit of a bigger price, maybe not. 10 Strike, obviously, they like to support their horses at the window, the ownership group. But I think this horse is very, very live, and I'll take him against any other 7-year-old in the race.
All right.
The only 7-year-old in the race.
How old is Something Like It Hot Brown? 72?
So
6, soon to be 7, but then you become 8.
Yeah,
so.
no senior citizen jokes on this horse? No.
No.
Okay.
Listen, sometimes when you're a certain
Sometimes
age,
you have to
you're
contain yourself.
You're distinguished, and you have to respect your elders.
Correct.
What do you think now? 8-1. This is the 7 horse. I'm going to play this horse. Coming up now, if you take a look, obviously at the sheets, which you should be doing, 2 5s back to back January, February, 9 in August, 8 last time out at Aqueduct. Has not raced though at this distance in over a year. So that could be an issue, but 8-1. I like the fact, John, you're getting 8-1 on this horse. He's got 5 wins at Aqueduct, and again, has run pretty good numbers over the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's fine. By the way, this is another rare exception. The 8 last time, no Lasix. The 15, 2 starts back, Lasix. The 9, 3 starts back, no Lasix. The bad race, 14, Lasix. The 5, no Lasix. So look at this horse. He wants no part of Lasix, and that's surprising. The problem I have with this horse is that he's stretching out to a mile, and I just think there's so much speed in this race. I really think the 6 is going to go like Chad was. 6, 7, and 8 are going to all be gunning, So he's part of the pace scenario, and the barn not doing that well. Not since Saratoga or before Saratoga. So for that reason, I'm against him. And again, when he was good last year, when he ran the 9 first out, which was a top, his 2 worst races at that point were the 2 races at a mile at Aqueduct, if you see. Then he went back to sprinting, by the way, without Lasix and ran a new top of a 7. So the worst 2 races in that group were the 2-mile races. So for that reason, I'm nitpicking, and I'm making a little bit of a case again.
How many furlongs is a mile?
8.
Chad?
8.
This horse is a perfect example of the barn of Rudy Rodriguez. They're completely inconsistent. When they're hot, they're hot.
And when they're not, they're not.
They're capable of big efforts. And as the barn goes, he goes. And what do I think now? I think that today's not the day. When Rudy's barn is hot, this horse seems to run well. When Rudy's barn is not, he seems to not run well. Whether it's Lasix, not Lasix, shipping to parks, whatever the case. It does give us a chance. Obviously, Dylan Davis is going to sub in for his brother-in-law, Trevor McCarthy, as he recovers from his broken collarbone. So we send our speedy recovery and well wishes to Trevor. Hopefully he'll be back in the saddle in February. He loves this horse. Dylan doesn't know him. He's a little bit of a tricky horse to ride. I wish he would have breezed him in the morning time. Rudy himself has been breezing this horse in the morning time. I would have liked Dylan to just sit on him and get to know him a little bit. I don't like him today. But if the Rudy barn heats up, if he wins 3 races earlier on the card, then this is
well, we'll keep an eye on that. All right, and then the last horse is Dr. Blute, the 8, 7-2 shot. And ever since Safi Joseph took over, good things for Dr. Blute. John, back-to-back wins coming in. As you can see, he wants to lead. And the last 3 races, we have an 11, we have a 7, we have an 11. So what about Dr. Blute?
Well, I'm hoping he gets involved in the speed duel. Obviously, if he runs the 7, he's going to be tough. But he's 7-2. Safi Joseph, while he does terrific in Florida, he's 0 for 3 at this meet so far, but that doesn't mean anything. Obviously, he could wake up and win any day of the week. He's okay. He fits. But I'm taking a horse that's 5-1 versus a horse that's 7-2.
Yeah, I think you have to use him. You have to give him his just desserts for the races he's run since leaving Kimball Barn. Winning the Empire Classic against older horses was impressive last time out. albeit it wasn't the strongest Empire Classic of all time. And if he's able to replicate that, he's certainly right there. But this horse is one of 2 horses that's left in New York for the Saffie Joseph Barn. They'll be heading to Florida after this. This will be their last starts of the year. I don't think we'll see much of the Saffie Joseph Barn after this weekend. And you're right, John. That, I mean, there is something to be said about they seem to run well when they ship in from Florida and everything else, or when they're at Saratoga, and then when they come back here and they're here under different supervision, and they don't have the same success. So I just I think he's a must use, but I'm gonna try and beat him with Seafoam.
All right, as far as our picks, John, again, you're going to go with the 3. You're putting all 100 on Perfect Moonings.
Perfect Moonings.
Moonings, whatever.
Moonings, whatever.
Chad,
Gotta.
you're going to do an exacta and a win show bet.
Yeah, why not? Something different.
Chad is going to do 568. That's his exacta box. 568, $5.
At $5. That's $30. Leaves you 70.
And then 20 to win, and you got 20 to win and show.
Yes.
On the 6.
Yes.
Win and show 20.
And that is.
So you can bet the 6 is running second.
Seafoam.
Okay.
Well, he'll have the 3rd. And I'm going to go with my regular formula.
All right, so give me 30 to place on Seafoam then, if I had $30 left.
Oh, so it's going to be 20 to win show on the 6 and 30 to place on the 6.
Oh my goodness. All he does is stink in my pants. That's all he does.
And I'm going to do, 52 to win on the 4. Again, that's my top play.
52, win 4.
And
yeah.
$8 exacta box, 4, 7, and 8.
4, 7, and 8. Nobody likes my 3 but me and Pletcher. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, that's the way you want it.
That's fine.
And again.
How much was your box? $8?
Correct.
Sorry. Okay.
And then we'll be back on Tuesday for that special awards and preview show. Can't wait for that. And don't forget, we'll be back also on the 24th for more race handicapping. Guys, appreciate it. Talk to you on Tuesday.
Stay safe and be well, everybody. Thank you for joining.